Hello, football enthusiasts. Welcome to Blaqsport Podcast. I am your host, like always, Insigne Tuche, and I'm still on the wheel to take you through what is happening in the African Cup of Nations. The AFCON 2025 has reached its most unforgiving stage. Match day 17 delivers semi-finals night where composure matters, more than reputation, moments decide legacy. In Morocco, Senegal showed championship discipline, edging past Egypt with a narrow but decisive 1-0 victory to book their place in the final. They came with an epic under the nights, Morocco versus Nigeria. 90 minutes, extra time, no goals, just tension, belief and exhaustion. When the game refused to separate them, penalties took over. The hosts held the nerve, survived the lottery and sent the stadium into eruption as Morocco sealed their place in the final. So in this episode 97, two semi-finals, two constructive stories, one final awaits. AFCON 2025 is now all about who writes the ending, with Senegal and Morocco to book their place in the final on the 18th. And you have Nigeria and Egypt to play in the third place. What a night. So we're going to dive into this match in detail. So it's really a frustrating one for the fans of Egypt and also the fans of Nigeria. This is a night everyone has been talking about. It came with lots of expectation, lots of talking points, and lots of drama. So before we dive into that, let's start with the first game, which is the match you have here is between the Senegal and Egypt. This match between Senegal and Egypt is the first we're going to be discussing about. And I must say, it wasn't easy. So the Egyptian side has been a team, I would like to say, have been surprised at the transition to the semi-finals because they are not really the team I will give all the 100% in performance throughout the group stage, the knockout stage, and down to the semi-finals. I expect them to leave earlier before now, but this side has showed resilience. They've showed that this game matters to them most, and in as much as they went all in their best against the Senegal team, this has always been the pattern throughout the tournament. They try to keep a low block, hold the team, and towards the end of the game, they come out to actually show what they have. And this day, it wasn't in their favor. The Senegal was the better side. They held the possession, they held the ball, but still it was difficult for them to still penetrate, despite the fact that they had the game all to themselves. This shows you how good the Egyptian defense is. I won't want to say that, I would like to say in this round that the attack was not really a good one because it lacked so much creativity. They were a little bit out of the game. Salah didn't come to this game today with his performance. It was an embarrassing night for the Egyptian not to score, owing to the fact that they were seen as one of the favorites in this situation, despite the fact that Senegal looks to be one of the structured team on paper, but we expected the Egyptian to actually do something more than just show up. That's how I will use the word for them. It was a disappointing night, but they still need to hold their shoulders high and their heads up because it's not easy to get to this stage of the game. And the Egyptians tried. It was a narrow escape because if not for that long goal that Mane scored from the outside 18 balls out from a deflection that came out, they wouldn't even find the back of the net. They were actually going to penalties, which I think might be the game plan, but it backfired. And this is why I say to most teams, it's always good to come out to play earlier in the game. I believe the Egyptians gave so much respect to the Senegalese. They want to hold the game and then see how they can battle it towards the end, and if possible go to the penalties. But it didn't work in their favor. There was that slim chance that they had, and Sadio Mane took it, which divided the both teams. So it's always very, very difficult to decide which moment is going to happen to change the game. But Sadio stepped up at that game to strike it from outside the 18-yard box to pin the keeper and watch the ball roll back into the back of the net. So it was a disappointing night for them and a glorious night for the Senegalese as they proceed to the final to battle it out with the host nation. This is a moment of reflection for the Egyptian side. I know most players might actually be retiring, or this might be their last Nations Cup. Time will tell. But there's a whole lot of takeaways in this game. They need to bring in some fresh legs. They need to play more of an attacking football. This tournament, Egyptians were not really an attacking force, and that actually came. They tried, because I believe if they have actually gone towards their strengths, it could have been a very, very strong and tactical game, which might actually sway to their favor. But they have been more of a defensive side throughout this tournament, and that have actually affected their gameplay. But they still have a chance to battle it out for the third place against the Nigeria. So I would say big congratulations to Senegal for proceeding to the finals in the African Cup of Nations 2025 after a very, very rigorous competition since December 2025. So it's quite an interesting one that on the 18th of January, Senegal will be playing against the host nation, Morocco. Now let's talk about the next game of this tournament, which is between Nigeria and Morocco. This was the match of the day, if you ask me. It came with so much tactical discipline, so much I would say every player were on their toes. There was no margin for error. And the scoreline shows how difficult it is for both sides to find the back of the net. They went goalless the full 90 minutes and 30 minutes extra time, 15 minutes. Still no goal could actually separate both nations. Now, in the aspect, I will give all credits to the Moroccan side. They were the better side. The team came out to play, all attack. And if you ask me, this has a lot to do with the formation that the Nigerian side played. They played more of a defensive style of play. There were no much, they didn't have more players in the attacking front. I know we can talk about Osimhen being up front. We can also talk about the likes of Lookman. And we can also talk about the likes of Akop. But these players were starved of the ball. Because there's one thing the Moroccans actually did. They actually locked out the Iwobi and the midfield. They drew a very strong line between the midfield. They couldn't actually transit. Those pocket passes, those linear passes that Iwobi was actually doing in all these tournaments, all those things were blocked. And what happens is, once Iwobi brings the ball, all the whole players blocks him, that he has no other alternative than to go sideways or backwards. Both sides or you go backward. He didn't have that chance to have those clear-cut passes into the midfield. They didn't give those room to that. And why would you say that? How were they able to do that? They have more players in the midfield. They have more players in the midfield, which dominated the midfield. They took the midfield out from the Super Eagles. And despite that, the Super Eagles found it hard to break through. This is the time they need to introduce players that actually can dribble. Do you understand? You have to find a player that can dribble, take one or two players alongside with them. They couldn't even trap the ball. That shows you how quick the Moroccan side is. This is the quickest side I've seen in this game. They were faster than the Super Eagles. They were more lit than the Super Eagles. They were more attack conscious and even more defensive conscious than the Super Eagles. I would say that the Super Eagles of Nigeria were outclassed in this game. They were butchered in this, and they were all bullied in this game. It shows so much quality from the Moroccan side. They will show that they were ready to take the bull by the horn. I will give big kudos to the boys because they really did perfectly well. In as much as Brahim Diaz was not really exceptional in this game, like I said, all he needed to do was get to the finals. And I promise you, with him getting to the finals, he is the one that's going to win the African Best Player of the tournament. He's going to win the this AFCON tournament because he has been outstanding. Yes, despite it wasn't that too aside against Nigeria because he didn't have that room to play. And I also give a big kudos to Basi of Nigeria. He was everywhere. Despite the fact that he actually had a yellow card that actually proved that he's going to be missing next game. That boy was so on point. He shows a masterclass. If you ask me, he just played his final game for the tournament. In as well, he wasn't going to the final. He actually showed class, as if that semi-finals was his final match, and that was a good performance from him. I would say with this performance, he should be rated as one of the best players in this tournament. He has showed class. He has showed agility. He has shown perseverance. He has shown so much courage and a good motivation for his side. I would say Bassi is the man. And this is something that the Super Eagles of Nigeria should actually know. They did their best. The only difference was that their best was not good enough. And the Moroccan side, if not for these penalties, I would say that it will be a very shameful score line if the Moroccan side were to proceed, because they were the better side in this match, and they proved that they wanted it most. We saw a Super Eagles of Nigeria playing with, I will use the word fear. They were jittering in the midfield. So much that I know they must have missed the right there. But I would say they tried to actually be defensive conscious, to hold the line zeros against one of the team that is scoring side like Morocco, the host nation, is a big applause for themselves. I would say it was a good game. Both teams were really tactical. They were serious. They actually moved as a compact. But the Moroccan side were more clinical than the Super Eagles. They didn't have much of the chances on the attack. And if things if the Super Eagles weren't, will I say, if the Super Eagles of Nigeria made any careless mistake, they could have conceived more than 2 goals. But that shows how discipline and concentration was at its peak in this game. Too bad that the Super Eagles of Nigeria couldn't proceed to the final, but it's still a big congratulations to the Moroccan side, the host nation, to proceed to the final after still reaching the semi-finals in the World Cup. This shows a team with class. This shows a team that has quality. This shows a team that is capable of representing Africa in the world or in the global stage. So I will say a big congratulations to the host nation as they play against the Senegal on the 18th to see who's going to win the golden trophy. It's been a wonderful tournament so far, and if you have not been following this game, you really miss it. I would say African Cup of Nations still remains one of the global continental tournaments that puts all the eyes of the world to its visibility, because the quality is actually unmatched. All eyes were glued to the TV all through the 90 minutes down to the extra time. This was a time to say that Africa is getting the respect and the visibility that they actually deserve. Now, let's talk about what the finals might actually look like. Ask me, the Moroccan side might actually take this. It might actually come as a surprise. It will come as a surprise to me if Senegal wins. But with what I have seen tonight against the one of the best team in the tournament, I don't see Senegal standing a chance against Morocco. But you know, it's football. Anything can happen. There's nothing like a sure win when it comes to football, because it's all about who can put the ball to cross the line. And that's what matters. And today, I would say, it's a big and painful night for the people of Nigeria and Egypt, but it's still a glorious night for the people of Morocco and Senegal. I would say congratulations that the much expected arrived at the destination points. So I'm your host, like always, Tuche, and this is match day 17. Just like we actually talked about, it is a night to watch. It is a match to watch. It is a moment to experience. It is a history to be written in gold. And who is going to be crowned champions? Only time will tell on the 18th. I'm signing out right now, but not out of the tournament, as we will stay here to see what's going to happen in the third place between the Egypt and Nigeria. So I'll see you on the next episode on March the 18th as we talk about the third place of the African Cup of Nations. As you all know, only the best will always come out on top. See you on the next episode. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.